starting with the camera recording. So, I just want to take a second to thank everyone. It's been a great time. I just came to Chandigarh the second time in my life. So, I want to thank the entire organizing team, right from Pranjit, Gaurav, everybody who's helped me have a nice day here. And, everybody just had very nice hospitality. I just love people in Punjab. And I think it's, great coming to you guys. I wish I can come again sometime. Thanks. So, let me start. And I have someone here who's going to be following my cue. So if the presentation slide is a bit off, don't bother. It's okay. So we'll start. I'll start by telling you my name. My name is Ankit Kawatra. And I will be solving hunger in India in my life. That's what I'll be doing. And let me start today's conversation with a stat. I want everybody to look at the screen and just read the stat. It says that hunger kills more people globally than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. What happens when we read these kind of stats? It's important to think, just for a second. What I would do a couple of years back if someone came to me was, I'd just brush it away. I mean, there's no point even thinking about it. We have so many of these facts coming to us all the time. So many people dying of road accidents, so many people dying of other hospital accidents, things like that. And I would have done the same, except something changed me. I went to a wedding. Now, those of you who, after this conversation, do ask me if it was my wedding, let me just clarify, it was not. And but this wedding was actually in Delhi. It was a celebrity wedding. Now, what was special about this wedding was what's special about every wedding, which is food. And this wedding had 35 cuisines of food. Can you even name 35 cuisines of food? It's tough. It's really tough. But it was lovely food. And what happened in that wedding was I started to think about a thought that occurs to a lot of us, which is that what would happen to all that extra food that's left when we leave? We're not talking about food that's left in plates. We Indians have a habit of overpiling our plates. We keep doing that. But I'm talking about the food that's left in the dishes. The extra food which is fit to eat. The food that you and I would go there, pay, and happily have. Now, that got me thinking, and it just struck to me that I asked the caterer there and I found out that the total number of food that was going waste that day was food fit for 10,000 people. One wedding, food extra for 10,000 people. Think about the number of people who would have come for that wedding. It just does not make sense. It does not make sense. And that thought struck to me. And I did not need another fact like hunger kills so many X and X. I did not need stuff like that to tell me that there is a better way we can utilize that food. There are people in our country who could better use that food. I'm sure nobody in this audience will ever say that he does not know about poverty. We all know about it. We all know that there is a problem called hunger in our country. Yet, nobody does anything about it. Now, when I went back home from this wedding, I researched a bit, and I researched on two things. Number one, food waste. I started to find out how much food actually goes waste. If there was food worth 10,000 people wasted in one wedding, think about how much food would go waste in the entire country. Delhi, the city that I live in, has 70,000 weddings on a given night. Think about all the cities in the country. Think about Chandigarh. Think about all the Punjabi weddings. There is so much amount of food that's going to go waste. And I found out that as a result, 40%, that's almost half the percent of all the food goes to waste. Which means, and let me take an example here, if there were 10 sacks of rice, a lot of those sacks of rice will never reach us. And a lot of the rice that actually does reach us will never be utilized, it will be wasted. As a result, out of those 10 sacks of rice, only 6 will be utilized. 4 of them are going to waste. And this is in a country where we have a problem of hunger. If you can just move on here. So one thing I realized is that we don't need these 3 people to tell us that we like food, and we don't need to know that we pile our plates with food and there's a lot of food that's left. Now what's important here is, I'm going to take you very quickly in this first problem, what happens to the food that's left in your plates. what happens to the food that's left in the dishes? That's left extra, the leftover clean food that we will have, untouched food. That food turns out to go into garbage dumps, into municipality garbage dumps, the colonies, the spots we all avoid because we don't want to go close. They're smelly, they're dirty. We all avoid those places, and that's where it goes. And from here, it's picked up and it's thrown into even bigger places called landfills. Now, landfills are very interesting places. They're like hill stations. Some of these landfills are now 5 stories high. And another talk, maybe this is another TED talk, but if you don't stop that, very soon we're going to have 2-night, 3-day packages coming from here. And we're going to buy it, believe me. And that's the amount of food that's going into these landfills, and what happens to this food here is it creates methane gas. Now, a child today in India knows that methane gas is deadly for our environment. So overall, the extra food that's being thrown away is deadly for a lot of reasons. At the same time, the second thing that I found out was about hunger. And I mean, everybody knows there's hunger in the country. We just don't know how much. And it's interesting to know how much. So as a result, I found out that India has the highest number of undernourished people in the world. This is not just any other fact. This basically means that we're winning at the Rio Olympics day after day. We're progressing at literally everything in the country, but we last, and mind you, last when it comes to giving or getting basic food to people on their table. We can't do that. We haven't been able to do that. And I mean, think about how many people are in this room, and think about the number of people who sleep hungry every night. It's 20 crore. A lot of you will not be able to count the number of zeros in 20 crore in a second. And even more so, people who like children, you would be interested to know that 1.3 million children, we're not talking about a few hundred, we're not talking about 1,000, we're talking about 1.3 million children in India die, not because of any disease, but because of hunger, because they do not get proper food. And that's when I came back from this wedding. I just gathered this information, and it all came down to one decision. Now, it's interesting to know is that at that point of time, I was working in a corporate firm. I was in Delhi, and I used to work in a normal corporate firm, doing a regular job. But what was really interesting for me was that I was not able to live with this fact. I came back home from office one day and I said, look, I work very hard in school and college to make sure that I can earn a good living. I was all ready to have a very good and good paying corporate career in my life. Yet, I realized that I will never be able to live. I will never be able to live with the fact that I earn for myself, and there's so many people who go to bed hungry, nobody does anything about this problem. And that's why I decided that I will leave my job, and that's the decision that I took that day, that I will leave my job and I'll start feeding India. And that's what I'm going to come on to now. Now here the point that I was trying to make was that I realized that my dreams, all of us have dreams, all of us have our personal goals. हम सबको कुछ ना कुछ अपना personal life में करना होता है, for our family, for our children, for our career. But realizing the fact that maybe we are meant to do something special. And when I closed my eyes that night in that room, I decided that maybe for one teeny tiny second, I am meant to do something special. Maybe being born on the World Food Day is not a coincidence. Maybe I am meant to solve this problem for all of you. And that's why I quit my job and I let my dreams, my hopes, my aspirations, my personal aspirations go, keep them aside in front of what could be done larger for the country. And that's why I started Feeding India. Now I'll get you into what Feeding India does. So Feeding India is basically a not-for-profit organization which picks up excess food from restaurants, caterers, events like the lunch we just had. It picks up the extra food from these places and donates it to people in need. And the way we work is through volunteers. So we started with 5 volunteers back 2 years back, and now we're in 28 cities with 2,000 volunteers. Now we call all these volunteers hunger heroes because we just think that these are crazy people who, along with their college, along with their professions, come down, help us, and donate excess food. And these are some pictures of some hunger heroes we have in Feeding India. And I think more than for me, I think we should clap for these guys, because these guys are amazing. I mean, think about it. You could have been here. Your picture could have been here. These people are normal college student going people between the age of 18 to 21 who, along with their college, started helping Feeding India. And that's what's amazing about these guys. And so, I'll come to the next slide here, which is very importantly for this conversation, and the motive of why I'm here is that why do we do what we do? Why does Feeding India donate excess food? Why did I leave my job? For what? And the result is because every time we donate food, we get freedom from hunger. We make sure that someone somewhere gets a meal to eat. We make sure that there's proper nutrition. A pregnant woman in the country who does not get proper food will obviously give birth to an undernourished child. That's no new news. We know that. And that child will never be able to grow with the kind of dreams and aspirations that we have, because he will never receive proper education. Health is always a barrier here. And that's why when we donate excess food, when we donate food, we ensure proper nutrition. We ensure a clean India. We make sure that that food does not go into households into garbage dumps near your households. It does not go into the landfills around your houses. So, there are no 2-night, 3-day packages for the landfills anymore. And we make sure that there is a more equitable society. There's more justice. Rich people are rich, but even the basic right of food. I mean, if you think about it, what we all need today in India is food, clothing, and shelter. Now in India, a lot of people live without shelter. We all know that. A lot of people even live without proper clothing. During winters, they do not have proper warm clothes. But a person who does not get access to basic food is not going to survive for long. And that's why we ensure an equitable society, a better India. That's what we do. So what I want to emphasize here is that when Feeding India feeds a meal, it doesn't solve a problem that relates only to me. It does not. It solves a problem that relates to each and every one of you. Each and every one of you sitting in every corner here. If we solve hunger in India, you, your children, your friends, your relatives will have a better life. And this journey that we started with hunger is not something that we've started. Our great-grandfathers, Mahatma Gandhi, these are the people who started this journey. These are the people who started fighting for our cause to ensure that there was food for us, and that's why we're privileged enough to sit in this hall today and discuss this. And it is upon us. It is upon us to carry this journey forward, to carry the journey forward that they started and ensure that justice in terms of food, basic food for all is ensured. That we ensure that along with our jobs, along with our colleges, along with whatever we do in our life, we make sure we contribute. And we all can. We all can. If you're a student, you can start feeding programs. You can volunteer. If you're a teacher, you can coach people on how to not waste food. You can coach students on getting volunteers together. There are a number of things that each one of us can do. If you're a corporate, you want to pledge meals and you want to, you benefit from the branding, you can make sure that the number of meals you pledge actually goes into making sure that hunger is reduced from our country. If you're a restaurant, you can donate excess food. If you're a caterer, you can donate excess food. You can pledge number of meals every day. And each one of us, whatever we're talking about right now, does not align with one of us, or there is no person in this room who it does not align with. And that's the magnificence of this problem. So in the end, while we are creating a hunger-free India, we are on this mission. It's never been done before. India still has the highest number of undernourished people in the world. But we have started this journey, and that's why I like to call it a revolution. Because in our country, getting things like this done is extremely tough, but it has started. There are 2,000 hunger heroes who ensure that food is donated to people in need. Right now, when we're sitting in this hall, there's someone in some other city donating to someone else. And that's a revolution of its own. And we must ensure that what our great-grandfathers started does not go in vain, because the torch has been passed on. We have what we need to solve this problem. And we can. And we will. We will. All we need to do is ensure that each one of us contributes, because the problem is so large. And that's why I'm going to leave you with a couple of pictures and also with a last fact by repeating what I started by saying, was that my name is Ankit Kawatra, and I'm going to change my line this time by saying that not I, we together will solve hunger in India in our lifetimes. Thank you.